So when I was the ripe age of 20 years old, I decided I didn't want comfort, I didn't want practicality, I just wanted something cool, made fun noises, fast. And that's how I ended up dailying my Subaru WRX for 3 years. Now let's open this up real quick. As you can see, I'm not doing that anymore. But I never really planned on buying that thing out there. And to this day, I would still be daily driving this. But let me tell you all the good things and the bad things that come with daily driving something like this every single day. When I purchased this thing 3 years ago, it was not in the state that it is today. And it took a lot of work to get it here. And when I originally had bought this car, there was like no oil in it. So it didn't come from a good home at all, and I was already starting to think maybe this was not the right choice to make. The previous owner didn't take care of it. You hear the rumors about these cars blowing up, and I was just thinking, why did I sell my Honda for this? But living at home, still living with my parents, being about 20 years old, my parents begged me when looking for a car to look at all-wheel drive, living up here in the Northeast. So that's kind of how this idea even got started. But for some reason, I was obsessed with turbos. And even though it's not huge, the WRX does have a turbo. And I gotta say, I was obsessed. I was a little bit obsessed. All I wanted was a turbocharged car. I was even looking at some supercharged cars, but for some reason, the turbo is just what I wanted. And I also saw there was a bunch of different mods you can do to this car. There's a huge community that can help you out if different things go wrong with the car. And overall, it was kind of a cheaper car for me to buy whenever I was first looking. I think the Bug Eye is one of the cheaper generations that are being sold. And while I didn't love it at first, I think that I kind of grew to love the body style of this car. I mean, come on, you can't hate it. But I'll be honest, I had thought that I was gonna turn this thing into some 600 horsepower crazy car, because whenever you look at videos and stuff, that's something that people do to these cars. But something I didn't realize is that takes a lot of money. And a lot of the money I spent on this car at the beginning was maintenance. When I had originally bought this thing, it came with a boost leak, and that is why it was so cheap. So I drove it around for a couple of days with the boost leak. I just wasn't trying to go too much into boost, just experience the car a little bit, and from what I read, it was safe. And at this point, I didn't really know much about cars, so getting up under the hood like this was a pretty aggressive task for me. And some people may have their opinions about this solution, but this tube that runs to that boost gauge that I was showing you had flown off and was making a leak. I mean, mechanic special. You would think that there'd be something majorly wrong potentially happening, but it was just a hose that came loose. After that, I started checking the access port. I was making full boost. The gauge was going up the whole way. I mean, everything seemed great. And I was getting to experience this amazing manual transmission. The only other manual car that I drove was my Jeep, and that thing was super long throws whenever you were driving it. So having something a lot sportier like this, I was loving it. And I wasn't that good at manual, but it was a really fun car to learn more on, you know, rev matching, not stalling at the red lights, making it so my passenger's head doesn't go like this the whole time I'm shifting. But all good things have to come to an end at some point, especially with a car that is as old as me. You know, I'm driving home from work one day until something pops up and I thought it was over. And that was a flashing check engine light. The car's power started decreasing. I thought, I've only seen a regular check engine light, so a flashing one must be really bad because it's saying, hey, take a look at me. And what code do I see pop up but a cylinder 4 misfire? I thought, it nuked itself. The engine's gone, it grenaded. Classic Subaru thing. How am I gonna afford to rebuild this? I swap out the spark plugs on it, which is actually a little bit hard because of how close the engine actually sits to the frame. You can barely feed your hand down there to swap those out. But it turns out one of the clips on my coil pack was broken. And since it was not seating the whole way in there, that is why it was misfiring. So I tested it out by swapping it to a different cylinder, and it followed it. I thought, okay, maybe these Subarus, you know, they're not that hard to diagnose. What is everyone complaining about? Let me tell you, after figuring that out, I thought I was a master mechanic. Ask me anything, I'll tell you what's wrong with your car. Because I swapped it out, check engine light went away, drove it for months back and forth to school, to work, you name it. And the car ran perfectly fine. I've seen everybody else on the forums and stuff. This thing's wrong with the WRX, this thing's wrong with the WRX, but not me. Everything on this car's been perfectly fine. And things were still impressing me day by day. I mean, I was getting crazy gas mileage because a 4-cylinder really isn't gonna guzzle that much gas. unless you're getting into boost a lot of the time. I love just the raw feeling of everything in this car between the transmission, the steering wheel, the pedals. And you know, I'm doing some little mods here and there. I added this Apple CarPlay, Android Auto head unit, so that way my phone could play for music. I could get directions on here, you know, modernize it a little bit. Upgraded some speakers because I'm spending so much time in here. Daily driver, drive it literally everywhere. I probably put like 40,000 miles on this thing. And now I'm finally getting to the stage where I'm feeling more comfortable about modifying the car, making things my own, because this really was the first car that I've decided to modify, and it is a little intimidating at first. It sort of feels like at the beginning that whenever you're changing something, you're like, what if I gotta tow it to the shop because I messed something up or I can't put it back together? But I learned that surprisingly things were very easy to do on this car, and because the community was so big, if you had an issue, there was a certain mod you didn't know if it was compatible, odds are somebody else has done it and can provide some feedback on it. I hated the stock headlights. I had to get something that was brighter because you couldn't see at night and it was so dangerous. Thought I'd get some matching turn signals with the smoked housing as well. A hood scoop that would divide the internet and my friend group. I mean, I get it's a little big, but I think it looks okay, right? We'd finally get something to change the appearance of the exterior of the car. Wheels. We just recently got to put this bigger brake kit on it. Another internet divider of a STI wing. And all these mods help me personalize it and kind of make it my own and enjoy the car more. And I think whenever I do look back at pictures of this car when I first bought it, I can't believe that that's the condition that I bought it in. I don't know, something about how the stock WRX looked and the different mods that the person before me did to it. I just don't know why. I kind of thought it was a good idea. But I guess that just also goes to show that you can fix other people's mistakes. Whether it's somebody plastic dipping the wheels and they look awful, maybe someone buys a wing that just doesn't fit the car right, or maybe they put headlights in it that blind everybody on the road. So something valuable that I learned is I did get this for a cheap pickup and maybe it would not have worked out as well, but no matter what, you can personalize your car, make it however you want. And I'm at the point right now where I don't think I could ever sell this. Now there still are some downsides. I have probably killed 3 batteries in this car, and I truthfully think it's because I did not have a battery tie down. And I also have had to swap out this alternator. So maybe these cars have electrical issues, or I just got extremely unlucky in that. And some of you who have been following for a while will know that this car had a lot of eBay parts on it, and that was not good. The person who had this before decided they wanted to run stage 2, but I'm not paying Cobb's outrageous price to run their stage 2. I'm gonna cut the cost by buying eBay replacements, and ooh, that was not good. So I fixed all the things that person messed up, so that way the stage 2 tune on this car right now can actually run the way it is supposed to be. And I still am thinking of getting Pro Tuned at some point, but I definitely want to get one because I know that you're supposed to get something that runs for your exact car. And guys, I lived through all the memes this whole time owning this car. Having friends asking when you're gonna blow the engine up. People who keep sending you texts reminding you to change out your head gasket. People saying, what's the point of buying that because you can't even make that much power, which is true. We're probably making a little bit under 300 horsepower on stage 2. And that's not even actually like dyno tuned. That's just kind of what is assumed. Any insult that someone comes up with to say for a WRX owner, I've heard them all. And if there is one tip I have to give to somebody who is thinking about buying a Subaru WRX or who already has one and is trying to make it last a really long time, the car is only going to run as well as you treat it. And that's something I preached the whole time owning this car through a bunch of different videos I've made. I feel like no matter what car you own, how unreliable it is, how much people hate it, for the most part, how well you take care of it is how well it's gonna take care of you. It's not like I've meticulously maintained this thing. I'll be honest. I'm a little lenient on when I changed the oil on it. It had like 20-year-old shocks. The tires were starting to go bad. It ran those eBay parts for a whole year or 2. And I definitely think I got lucky for some of those things that could have gone wrong with it, but didn't. But I'm very much in the mind of the car is gonna treat you as well as you treat it. Pay the extra price to have the peace of mind going to bed at night knowing that one day whenever you're driving to work or you're going to pick up someone or you're going to see your friends that something isn't gonna go catastrophically wrong because you decided to cut corners somewhere. And I think that's what made my WRX last these whole 3 years with no major issues, and now still going in the future to not having any major issues. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it makes it past 250,000 miles or higher. I just don't have enough time to drive it that much anymore. And there's a phrase that goes around that if you can't afford the maintenance, you shouldn't get the car. And I think there's some truth to that, but honestly, I have had no issues with this vehicle. I do all the recommended services that I should at each mile interval. Sometimes maybe I skip something. Sometimes I do a little bit extra. But I have to say, I have been so happy driving this thing for the past 3 years that if I didn't have that Rogue to go drive everywhere, this would still be my daily driver. I have no problems with it. Even whenever I had my Infiniti Q60 a couple of months ago for an entire year, I would still swap back and forth, do 4 days in this car, 3 days in that car, swap back and forth every other day. Sometimes drive this thing for a whole week. I could not be happier with this car, so I think if you're on the fence, you should do it. And remember, it's only going to treat you as well as you treat it. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you're still here whenever this car passes 1,000,000 miles and maybe I'll get a free one. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe. See ya!